Aries, it's Kendrick from Providence Tarot. I'm here to give you your first proofread for the month of September. It is September 2nd, and we are on that Pisces full moon energy, and it's in the second decan of Pisces, which is influenced by the moon, okay? Right, so let's go ahead and get started, Aries. I'm going to shuffle the cards. I'm using the Druid Craft Tarot again this week just because I love it so much. Actually, an Aries gifted me this deck last year for my birthday. Right? My birthday's coming up soon. Oh my goodness. How old will I be? Do you guys know? Can you guess? How young will I be? How fierce will I be? Stop, Aries, stop. Don't even try it. Okay, I'm gonna lay them out now. So you know what I do. I'm gonna do the 3 stack, and then I'm gonna flip them over on the other side so we can see what's going on. And I'll wrap it up for you. You know, we're coming up with some, these are like metaphors and symbols. All right, so there's an ending to something. The Lord of Ruin came up, which is a 10 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords is talking about growth that comes from an experience that has taken a long period of time, and you've learned from something. You've gotten the point of something. There's something that you maybe didn't see at the beginning that you see now, and it also is kind of like an ending to a situation that might have been bringing you some frustration or might have been making you feel a little bit impatient, right? Because you've been waiting for this to be over with this 10 of Swords, waiting for something to be over or waiting for something to feel like it has defined itself, or there's been a defining moment in some area. It could be with job, right? Some of you, this could be with children, right? Just because it's Sun in Gemini, it could be cousins or friends, something like that. You know, it's the worry being over as well, right? Coming full circle. And it's also kind of like you have this is your moment to have a new focus, new intention, right? That type of thing. You might even be feeling psychologically exhausted, or you might even be feeling wounded. I feel like for some of you, you're seeing something as a missed opportunity, and for some of you, you're seeing something as an opportunity to like, or you're getting the opportunity to see something is over, right? Or the opportunity to see something that kind of like brings something to a close for you. I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn over the other card. Right, opportunity, it's a 9 of Cups. So both of these have like, kind of like a Jupiterian sensibility. And with this 10 of Swords, it's Sun in Gemini, okay? What am I thinking of? And it's also a 10 and it's a 1. So it reduces to a 1. And it could just be like new focus for you. Anyway, the 9 of Cups is, let's see, Jupiter and Pisces. And Jupiter and Pisces is related to the moon energy, and the moon is the decanate that is influencing, or the moon is the planet that is influencing this decanate of Pisces, where it is right now. And it's just very interesting because the 9 of Cups goes back to the moon, and it also goes back to the Hermit. So we're looking at an experience. Again, we're looking at learning from something. Yes, you're realizing what what you really want. You know what I mean? And it's all about taking a risk of something that you've wanted before, but maybe you were afraid to take that risk, right? Because we're coming from the 8 of Cups with this 9 of Cups. But now, because something has happened that has brought you into a new mental landscape, okay, that now you feel like you want to go forward with something. You know what I mean? It could have to do with movement, right? Like travel, that type of thing. It's like new foundational goals, like new landmark goals, things that you want to do, you know, because the 10 of Swords does talk about a landmark moment. And the 9 of Cups is saying like, you know, allowing yourself to see towards the future, you know, and that's what the 9 of Cups really, really is about. Looking forward onto the horizon, looking at the landscape, you know, taking in everything, right? And accounting for something, right? Everything accounts for something. And everything that you have like added up has made you believe, right? Something new, something different. you know, and it's time for something to be different, okay, for sure. And both of these are mutable. So it talks about leaving one place and going into the other. It is a very transient, transitionary type of energy. So you're going to have to definitely be patient with yourself. This 10 being related to the 10th house of Capricorn, and it reducing to a 1. Aries is impatient. The first house is impatient. And the 10th house does have some expectations. You know what I mean? The 9 of Cups does not want you to get lost in idealism, because idealism could definitely prevent you from having the experience altogether. You know what I mean? So here we go with the next card. Right, King of Swords. So this is kind of like mastering your own identity, right? It's not about believing in what other people may have wanted you to be, or what other people may have like reduced you to just being. Right? And you may have even reduced yourself to just being something, or just being somewhere. You know, this is kind of like the ability to change your mind and realizing that it might be needed, so that you can break certain constructs and systems that were meant to get you where you are now, but they're not meant to get you where you're going to be. You know what I mean? They are, because you're in this moment right now, and to be or not to be, that is the question. Yes, you are in this moment right now, and everything that you have experienced has brought you here. But what is this moment teaching you about the stuff that you learned, that you may be realizing something that you didn't see before? You know what I mean? And with this King of Swords, it's related to the 4 of Swords, right? Because that is Jupiter and Libra. On an esoteric level, Jupiter is the ruler of Aquarius. That's on a soul level. So again, travel. This is like thinking about a different place that you could live. Or also, this is just kind of like needing to take a break from other people and think for yourself. You know what I mean? Stop asking other people questions. You don't need to ask them. You can think for yourself, because it really is about what you want. Again, it's related to the Emperor, and it's related to the 4 of Swords, right? And this is Aquarius. Thinking and thinking, right? But also, it's a little bit of Capricorn, right? So you're breaking those old systems, coming from Capricorn and going into the rebel, which is Aquarius, but it's still Saturn. So Saturn did tell you that you needed to build, but now Saturn's telling you, oh, now you can like renovate and change that shit. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it says. So now let's go ahead and flip over these cards. We're going to look at what the 10 of Swords says behind it. King of Pentacles, right? So now we got a square going on here. So you got 2 people, and both of them are stubborn in what it is that they might want, or what's important to them. You know what I mean? But they both think on the same level, and it's earth and it's air. So it's almost kind of like hard to get these two to blend or mix, or to come together to form some new, you know, foundation, or to agree on something, because that's what it's difficult for the squares to agree on something. But the King of Pentacles is 1/3 Aries, okay, and the King of Swords is 1/3 Capricorn. So it's the intention that they have different intentions, but their intention is to start something new, or to change something on a deeper level. But it's like on the external level. And what is the ego doing? You know what I mean? Because I feel like these two are there's like egos battling it out here. So it's kind of like you really have to think about when it is your ego. And that is what Pisces teaches us, because Pisces doesn't really go with ego. You know what I mean? Yes. Because on an esoteric level, Pluto rules Pisces, because Pisces does want to be able to escape and do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. But this is talking about ego in terms of what you might be getting used to, and what you have gotten used to that has just made you feel like you don't want anything else. So you might be limiting yourself because of your stubbornness, or someone could be limiting you, or you could be limiting each other because of the inability to come together and agree on something. Prince of Swords, another person. Okay, somebody's talking too much, somebody's saying a lot of stuff. It's coming from a place of being fixed. So somebody is gonna, maybe it's the Prince of Swords, maybe it's the King of Swords. So this one of you is going to finally, you know, move forward with something. The Prince of Swords is also talking about someone or a situation that comes in kind of swiftly or fast. It's talking about communication. This needs to happen. You guys need to talk it out because the Prince of Swords is Gemini and it's communication coming from Taurus, which is talking about ruling the throat, right? So somebody may have been swallowing their pride, or someone may have just not been saying what they've been meaning to say this whole time, and now they're beginning to say it, or now they're starting to say it, or they're starting to express it. Or it might just be like that you've been waiting for information for a long time, you know, and you've been consciously aware that something was going to change. You just didn't know when it was going to change for you. And now I feel like it's happening, you know, because the Prince of Swords is Gemini as well. So you got 2 Gemini cards already. You got the King of Swords. So something you're thinking a lot about stuff. There's a lot of overthinking as well with the Prince of Swords being here. And you might even be overthinking about someone coming in or what someone's intentions are if you're going to be working with them, right? Or if you're thinking of dating this person, you're like, what are your intentions with me? Are you just coming in to leave? Or what is this? But I don't see this as really being a love reading. This has to do with about decisions and choices, right? And ego driven, I don't know, ego driven stalemates, right? But the Prince of Swords doesn't really hold back. So someone needs to say what's on their mind. You know what I mean? And it's a situation that's coming in quickly. So a decision might be made quickly. Okay? Did I already flip this one over? All right. So let's go ahead and see what is behind the King of Swords. The Lady. Okay, this is some energy that has come in that we needed, right? We got the King of Pentacles, we got the King of Swords, we got the Prince of Swords, and the Lady is like, okay, look, you need to look at what is most efficient for you, what's going to be the most efficient thing with the Lady here. We're trying to think practically and logically, right? Because we are in a period of waiting. We know that something is going to be manifested and something is going to grow, but we have to wait for a little bit more further developments. That's kind of like the advice here. Also, it's like, what are your resources? You know, your resources and what you have to use is going to give you the, you know, ideas that you need, or it's going to give you, you know, the proof that you need to make the decisions that you need to make. You know what I mean? What's going to be comforting for you? What's going to be most secure for you? What can you plan for? You know, this is also just like wise planning until the time comes, you know? So you're waiting until the time comes. Something is definitely growing. You know, this is like your environment too. So your environment might be changing, or you're thinking about changing your environment, or you're thinking about how your life is going to be changing, or how your environment will be changing, of course, which is going to change your life. You know, some of you could be getting pregnant. Some of you might be pregnant and you may not know who it is. You know, this is also children too. Or this could be that something is growing, or something has gotten bigger, or something has gotten to the point where like it has changed or it is changing, and you need to respond in accordance to this, right? And it's also kind of like connections. How do we affect each other, right? It's related to Gemini, the third house of communication, siblings, cousins, information, learning, right? So maybe there's a little bit more that you need to take in before it's actually time. But it does talk about completion here to a degree, yes. And changing your foundations too. So your reasons for something are changing, and you might, you know, situations always change and there's always new developments. So, you know, I feel like there's change coming. And it has to do with where you live, your environment. Some of you might be having a baby. Some of you might be getting pregnant, right? That could be the news coming in from the Prince of Swords energy. Yeah, and some of you need to just go ahead and like luxuriate in your own inner beauty and your outer beauty, right? Appreciate that. All right. I love you, Aries. Email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, and